So hello everyone. This user meetup is unlike some that we did a lot of presentations, mostly Q&A. We still show some stuff in response to the questions that we have on the list. And after that, if you have any questions, like we'll be happy to answer them, or we will have a discussion for the 45 minutes. So we just did the polls and hello, and let's go to Pollination updates. So this time you will see like I won't have product updates, and that will be the first question to answer. So most of you should know what's pollination, but if this is your first time coming here or hearing about pollination, pollination is an ecosystem of tools for environmental building design and simulation. And the goal of developing this ecosystem to help you get from question to actionable data quickly. As an ecosystem of tools, there are different parts to the system. The solution provides some functionality on desktop side and some on the cloud side. On desktop side, on the cloud side, we can start with cloud computing. Then we have recipes, repositories for apps and recipes that help you never start from scratch. We have projects and gallery concepts from our web interface that helps you collaborate on the web and organize your work. You can think about it like how you can use, or people use GitHub for software development. You can use Pollination for environmental building simulation. Then on the desktop side, we have 3 plugins, Revit, which now I'm confident enough to say is the best option that you have to quickly get building energy model or building performance model from your building information model inside Revit. We have Rhino, which is the most flexible user interface that you can find to create, validate, and export analytical models. It also provides the option to run. And then we have Grasshopper plugin for pollination that connects to Ladybug Tools and also connects to our Rhino plugin. And then we have apps in the center of all this that brings them together. So you can load an app from web, or you can load it from inside the CAD plugins that we have. And they take advantage of our API, Pollination API, and you can take advantage of other third-party API as part of your apps. The whole thing is a hybrid solution, so you don't have to use cloud computing if you want to use Pollination. And we have large group of customers that we have now using the plugins to export clean model to any other software on the left side for simulation. And we also have a few companies working on building their own apps on top of Pollination API. So if you want to use your own UI or build a new app, you can just use Pollination API, not to rebuild the whole infrastructure. So it saves you a lot of time and money to get to a ready-to-go product. So the first question here is, how can I learn about new features of Pollination? So I used to do this section of product update at the start of this user meetup, but now we have started a new trend starting 2 weeks ago, that there is a new tag called release notes on Pollination, and we post product updates under discourse, Pollination discourse, under announcements. So if you follow the release note tag or just subscribe to announcement, you should be able to see all the updates and get all the updates so far. Then the other question that we had was, can I run Pollination apps locally? The answer is, for now, you cannot run Pollination apps locally. You can only run Pollination apps on a cloud, but you can run all the pollination recipes locally. So for recipes, you can run them locally or on the cloud. For apps, right now, you can only run them on cloud. We are working to see if it's possible to provide a solution for running Pollination apps locally. But right now, you can only run them on Pollination on the cloud. The other question was, how is Pollination similar or different from Ladybug Tools? So I wrote a post on Ladybug Tools forum that basically goes through this in detail. We also had a full user meetup that talks about the differences and how Ladybug Tools and Pollination can work hand in hand. I think one comment that I want to make here for people is, and I think it's a misconception, is really the goal of Pollination is to make it easier to use Ladybug Tools at the end. A lot of people think, oh, you start with Ladybug Tools and then go and use Pollination. But really, like, I mean, because the release of Ladybug Tools was first and Pollination came second. But really, a good thing about Pollination is Pollination opens up using the best of things of Ladybug Tools without the need to know Ladybug Tools and to know Grasshopper and want to deal with that. So the pattern should be, if you have other people in your office who are not comfortable with Grasshopper, or you have colleagues, you know, then the best way for them to start is actually to start from Rhino plugin, for example, or Revit plugin, and then they can still use Ladybug Tools features, or you can wrap those Ladybug Tools features, if you're a Ladybug Tools user, as an app, so they don't have to go through that complexity. Basically, the goal of Pollination is to make it as easy as possible for people to get started without compromising the quality and flexibility that we provide. Next question, is there a plan to develop Pollination for ArchiCAD? Unfortunately, the answer is no. For now, not anytime soon. The reason, honestly, is the resources that we have as a team, and we don't want to do something that we cannot support in a good way. I mean, you know, like, our pattern has been slow and steady and high quality. So we want to continue that. Are we going to think about it at some point? Yes, but it depends on the traction that we get on the current plugins, and we want to make sure, like, we go through a good cycle of, you know, testing the plugins, going through several projects in production that fortunately we have seen already. And then when we are ready, we can make a plugin for ArchiCAD, but that's not something on our roadmap anytime soon. What's happening with Pollination for SketchUp? Similarly to ArchiCAD, but with the difference that we have it. So for Pollination in SketchUp, we have been working on it. It's in a very good place. Antonello is going to show it actually today, live demo, so people can see it's real, it's working. But for putting it out there, we decided to delay it a little bit. And the main reason for that is, again, because of the size of the team and the popularity of the product. We want to make sure that we can focus to deliver on what we have. And we will focus on Pollination Apps first, make sure Pollination Apps, all the steps that we are developing to make things easier for you to develop apps are in place, make sure the end-to-end process is working and we are happy with it and you're happy with it. And at that point, we start the early access for a SketchUp plugin, and then we make it an official plugin. With that, I'll leave it to Antonello to show the SketchUp plugin, and then after that, we'll pick up any follow-up questions or any other questions that you guys might have. So Antonello, feel free to take the screen.
Yeah, okay. Okay, just let me know when you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, thank you. The SketchUp plugin consists of two different parts. So we have the pollination panel, which is almost independent, that communicate with SketchUp. So now I'm running the panel. And I'm going to use one of the apps that we are developing, which is the Sunlight Tower. And I start the communication with the SketchUp. So now SketchUp communicate with the apps, basically. So what I can do now, I can add some sensor grids, because who is familiar with the Open Studio, we don't have a very clear definition of sensor grids here. So we have it, but it's not like ours. So what you can do, we can create some sensor grids with some custom command like this. So now I'm creating sensor grids with one unit. I'm working on meter. And once if I like this grid, I can confirm and create the grid, press enter. So it will calculate the different sensor grid and ask me to apply these grids. Just 1 second. Okay. So once the sensor grid are applied, you can see that I have a new group. For who is familiar with Sketchup, I have a new group with the sensor grid inside. And because it's a Sketchup group, I can add it. So if I don't like to have all these grids here, I can delete the part that I don't want. For example, it is a facade study, so I remove the part that it's not really needed, and I leave just what I want to analyze. I put back the context, and once I'm ready, I can send this model inside the app. So using our custom button, I can read the model. The model now it's linked inside the app. I can select the weather file, for example, this one. And I can set up the analysis period. So let's focus in just January, for example, and I run the study.
So one thing that
this doesn't stop. Yeah, sorry, Mustafa. This doesn't stop you to moving inside the software because it's run in a separate process. Sorry, Mustafa, go ahead.
No, just the only thing that I wanted to say is this app, one of the other things that you can show in this app is you see there is an option to run it on cloud or to run it inside the app. So for this example, Antonello is running it inside the app itself instead of submitting it to Pollination to run it on Pollination Cloud.
Okay, the analysis is done, so I can see the results. I can set up the legend, add the things that you want. And once I'm ready, I push OK, and I have a preview of the results inside the app. So I can analyze the results in this way. Or if you want to export in some way, you can bake it like a Rhino. So I add this one inside SketchUp in a way that you can export it, and you can also add the legend. The legend is similar to the Ladybug Tools one. And again, this one, it's something that you can add it, continue to add it inside SketchUp.
Thank you, Antonello. Any questions or comments? So far, okay. Very quiet today. So we don't have or we didn't plan for anything else to to show. If there is any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If there are no questions, we can give some product update. I don't know, and we don't have to keep everyone here for the full hour. But yeah, we need one person to start. Oh, okay. So questions are coming in. So when you say, oops. So question one from Abraham, when you say it is running inside the app, does it mean it is running locally? No, it doesn't. Very good question. So the answer is it can, but for now, it's basically running in the same container that you're using. So if the container is deployed to Pollination, it will be running inside that Pollination. It doesn't mean it's running locally on your machine. Now, if you deploy the container locally, it means if you're running the app locally, then the simulation will also run locally. That is an option, but right now, the thing that Antonello showed, that was on his example was running locally, but if you use any apps from Pollination that we deploy, they will run on Pollination inside that container. So it's more of a, maybe we should write a post, write a blog post about that. But the short answer is no. Right now, it's running inside that container, which is deployed on Pollination. Can we show the annual loads app for the fellow who was interested in energy modeling? We can show that. Do you want to see that app for load apps? I can open Revit and probably show it from inside Revit if So for, I think it was Nicola. Nicola, are you interested to use it from Revit or Rhino or SketchUp? Where are you interested to use the app?
SketchUp would be best. Rhino also works.
Rhino also works. Okay. Let me see. And are you guys using Open Studio inside the SketchUp?
Well, we don't actually use SketchUp. We only use it sort of when clients
send a model. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let me see if I have a model. Let me share my screen and take it from here. So this is I'm showing it from inside Rhino. I don't know if Antonella has ever tested this from inside the SketchUp, but it should technically work. So this is a model that I actually use for a tutorial to clean up the model coming from Revit, from the native Revit GVXML, to make this worthy of energy simulation. I'm going to edit properties and add for HVAC. I'm going to assign ideal air load for now. And for program type, I'm going to make them mid-rise apartment program. And I'm going to say, okay. So it should be applied here. You see this and that. That means, and this app, let's see if the app is loading. So let me go here on the other screen and try it. So the concept of apps is, and it looks like right now, as it goes in live presentations, we have something going on with this app, so it can load. But if it would have load, then we could just send the model very similar to what Antonello showed. Okay, I think I'll just wait for this to load and see if there is any other questions. I'm wondering, for those who are not Pollination, did you enter ecosystem will have enough information to understand what pollination is? Yeah, we can work on that, but yeah, I don't know if anyone from our team, can you load the app on your end? Is it because I'm using the latest version of Rhino?
I'll check.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there is something going on with that app right now. I can see it on the thing. Okay, this is the table one that I clicked on.
I'm able to load the annual loads app.
Okay, it might be okay. It might have been the delay on our side, but okay. Anyway, so now the app is here. So you can basically get model, and I think maybe Antonella can also show this because it should work from SketchUp. You can just do get model, and when I do get model, this basically links to this model that I have here. I can do a preview to make sure the model that's exported is looking fine, exported correctly. In Rhino, the model in Rhino and the model in the app will be very similar, but it's not necessarily the same case when you go somewhere like Revit. Then you need to just select a weather file, and that's all you need to do. And then after that, you can basically run the simulation. And now it's running Energy Plus. And as I said, it's not running it locally, but it's running it inside that app. So, and here it says it can load something. Update while a Streamlit app is running. I don't think we did that, but it says press F5 or Control R. Yeah, let me try again. This is what.
Maybe because you're also projecting you're sharing video with audio.
It should work. I mean, I have done this before. There are again, like the apps are something that we are working on clearly, but yes, they are working, but there can be issues like this for now. So now you can see you have all the loads here: cooling, heating, lighting, and the charts that shows the monthly load balance, monthly load. The good news is you can customize this to be your own because the source is available. You don't have to rewrite everything. You don't have to redeploy Energy Plus. You don't have to do any of those. And it's already connected to Rhino, as I showed. I don't know, like, Antonella, do you want to show it from a SketchUp, or is that going to be too risky? I don't know. Like, we always take risks.
No. Sorry, Mustafa. No, we can get the model, but we need to review a bit the loading.
Okay, sure.
HVAC
because
system.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's not push it. But yeah, like the same thing can work from.
But yeah, the model works correctly. It's loaded, and also the PW, and also the calculation run. Just the HVAC system, we need to review the workflow to make sure that the HVAC system it's read correctly.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. We have a couple of people who have commented that this is the first time or they're learning about pollination. One user is a Ladybug in Grasshopper, Ladybug Tools in Grasshopper user. And Eloy, you just dropped a comment in. Do you currently use specific tools? Maybe we can talk to how pollination is different from or similar to other energy simulation tools.
So, okay, like if this is your first time seeing pollination, one of the things, one part of pollination are the CAD plugins, as I showed. So I go through this graph, and for people who already know this is your fault. You didn't ask your questions, so we're going to this one. So I'm going to start here, right? What we provide, there are a bunch of CAD plugins that now we provide, including the Rhino one. So this is for Rhino. What Rhino does, it moves all the complexities of creating a model from Grasshopper to Rhino. So now you can build your model in Rhino. You can set the programs. You can color by boundary condition. Like you can check everything that a lot of good things that you could have done. Like, we can see the U value of all the faces, and it also provides some additional visualization functionalities that we didn't have in Ladybug Tools in Grasshopper, like this legend thing that we have that you can have a horizontal legend inside Rhino, and it stays here into a screen, and you can take it into your all screenshots. Then the other thing that the Rhino plugin does very, very good is it helps you to save as the file to a bunch of file types that were not supported basically before, and now we provide support for. It includes eQuest, Energy Plus, IES, Open Studio, and what else? And GBXML. So you can go to a series of programs clearly, and I think for IES, which is one of our most favorite features right now, it's the fastest way to get a clean model to go inside IES. Then we have the same concepts in Revit. So the plugin for Revit, what it does very well is it helps you to extract an analytical model from inside Revit. And because we use the same schema or file format, which is HPJSON, you can pass data between Revit and Rhino without losing any information. So this is here, export model, and I go for a detailed mode. I'm not going through the details of like what is what, but just a quick export here to show you what's the functionality. So this opens up the option for all the Revit users to basically get access to all the good things that Ladybug Tools has to offer. So right now, this is the model that I have, and I can preview it here. And in a few seconds, you should be able to see the exported model inside Revit, which I can take to Rhino or any other interface that I want. So this is the model that is exported. There, like you see, there's a gap here that you can fix by adding plenum. and all those. I'm not going to do that. But similarly here, you have the export option, and you can go to Honeybee, Rhino, GBXML, Energy Plus, Open Studio, IES, and eQuest. So these are all available there. Pollination apps are also available from inside Revit, which means the same app that I just showed you for annual load, I can run it from inside Revit. So these are two. The third one, I'll show that, and I saw like another question came in, is one of the other things that Pollination provides is the Grasshopper integration. And the Grasshopper integration basically makes, and you won't see this errors that I see. This is like on my machine testing, but what it does, it adds access to all the Pollination Cloud stuff, and it also adds a live connection to Rhino. So if you use Pollination Rhino plugin and you have a lot of Grasshopper scripts, then you can basically use this workflow of using Pollination model component, right-click and get model. And as soon as I do that, now I have the model from Pollination Rhino available inside Grasshopper as a Honeybee model. That means I can take that and I can connect it to all the workflows that I have with Ladybug Tools. So you can simplify your Ladybug Tools workflows by pushing all the complexity of geometry into Rhino. This is something that we have shown in our user meetup that I linked. But now that we have time, let's talk about that. And yes, I did a full video tutorial on apps, on the Revit plugin, and all those that you can see. That should be helpful. Not a big difference between free and paid version. So on Pollination side, the only thing that's free is the Grasshopper plugin. So all the other CAD plugins are paid. For cloud computing, we have a free tier, but the free tier has limitation. The major difference is you're basically paying for accessibility and time, because Rhino and Revit plugin are going to save you like, I can say like weeks of time on a project to a month of time on a project instead of rebuilding stuff and everything. But if you use Ladybug Tools, all the Ladybug Tools stuff still stays as free. You released it. What's the next question? Okay, I'm glad, Eloy, that this is a good section for you. I'm at the moment the one that translates Revit to OpenStudio through GBXML. So if you go Revit to OpenStudio, use OSM export. Don't go through GBXML. So let me go back and show it here, because I saved everything. Sorry, I should have waited on a step 6, 7, 8. So you can natively export to OSM instead of GBXML. And the good thing is if you do that, because we are using OpenStudio program types and construction set and everything, you can basically set everything inside Revit, and then you can keep using them inside OpenStudio. So you don't have to reset them again, right? If that makes sense. So again, not from 1980, so let me use something from 2019. Okay, so I can set them all up here, and then I can directly export it as OSM, so I call it OpenStudio. While waiting for that, I hope that helps. Yes, GBXML also should work, but again, if you do GBXML, there is a risk that something in translating to GBXML and back to OpenStudio is going to change. Because we have direct export to OSM, I definitely suggest using that.
So Reinhardt has a question about daylight model workflows and how that integrates with energy modeling. Does the export feature also speed up daylighting? Do you want to just show how you can also run a daylight recipe at the same time as your energy?
Yeah. Sure. Like I can show it in Rhino. So let me open that file here.
Oh, sure. So this is the OSM file you just
Right,
exported.
the OSM file that I just exported. Was it the right thing to do? I should have just discard or cancel. Yep, so this is all now coming to Open Studio with all the information that we have in Revit. I don't know where. I don't use this UI, as you can tell, but you can see now the mid-rise apartment that I set it up. Everything is set and it's coming into Open Studio. Schedule, I think that's the space type, right? That's the one that I should have used. Yeah, I hope this clarifies. I don't know in GBXML like what can happen. For daylighting, next question. So the models that we have, the honeybee models are very similar. If you use Ladybug Tools, you should know the concept. So pollination models are compatible for energy and daylight simulation at the same time. So if I wanted to run daylight simulation for this, turn off this, what I needed to do, I needed to add sensor grid. So this model doesn't have a sensor grid. So I could use the command po add sensor grid. And then you can set the grid size and offset. And now you can see there is a sensor grid here inside this room that I have. And then I can basically load, instead of an app for energy modeling, I can app for sunlight hours, for example, or any other daylight simulation, or I can go and load a recipe. So the other way to run the study is to use this one here, run simulation, and go and open a daylight recipe and run daylight simulation here. Or we can also go this route and say, take the model into Grasshopper and set the simulation here from inside Grasshopper. So all of these workflows that I'm showing, like they will end up at the same place on Pollination. Or if you run them locally, they use the same recipe from Pollination to run them locally. But that's the beauty of this ecosystem. You can basically have different ways of doing the same thing, depending on how you want to do it or what fits you the best. So this is what it takes. So you just connect the model, connect the WEA file, set up everything, and you can connect it here to run it. There are video tutorials on how to do this, so I'm not going to go through the details. But the only thing to show is like this is now going to run on cloud. You can check this, and now you can run it locally. I hope that I answered the question. Reinhard, if you have any follow-up questions, let me know.
I say
Okay,
yes.
great.
Thanks.
Okay. How clean Revit model has to be before being used by Pollination? Are material properties automatically taken by Pollination? A question from Bruno. So how clean depends on what are you trying to do with the model, right? So what we need to export a clean model from Revit are two things. We use rooms. So the first thing that you need to take care of is basically rooms. So you make sure the rooms on every floor is set correctly. And the second thing are all the apertures are assigned to be parsed as aperture. So we have seen different models. If you're doing a hospital versus you're doing an office, the models are very different and the requirements of what you're trying to do are very different. If you want to run daylight simulation, you can be forgiving about a lot of things, like, you know, if the rooms are a little bit like not aligned and all those. If you do energy model, then you should spend the time and clean them up. Generally speaking, this is like still much, much faster than any other solution that you have. And one thing that we have created for people who don't want or who don't have the time to clean up the model inside Revit is that you can, instead of detailed export, you can use the extruded mode. What the extruded mode does, it basically takes the outline of the rooms and then allows you to extrude them up based on the height that you set up here. Here. In levels, you can basically set the extrusion height for each level. This is very similar to the workflow of exporting a DXF and extruding it in another program with two major differences. One, you will get all the apertures already out of your model. Two, you will get all the names and properties of the model out of Revit. So you can see like how much time you can save there. And I'm using the developer version. You don't see it in the public version, but we are also working on an align workflow, an aligned workflow is useful for cases like this. So you see this room comes here, and then this other room goes back, and then this one goes a little bit forward here. So with align, you can use Revit's reference line. So you just draw a reference line here, and they align everything to reference line as part of the export. So it makes that even faster. And to answer, are material properties automatically taken by Pollination? No, you have to assign them. So the way it works is when you come here, one of the things that you can set up is construction set. And the material properties are set based on the construction set here. That said, as we always have a solution for you to do it yourself, there is a field for user data that we didn't talk about much. You can use user data to get this information in a different way. So from Curtain 1 panel, maybe you want to get it from comments, or you want to leave a comment, or you want to add a different shared parameter. So you can export that as part of HVJSON and then automate the process to apply the material to it. And I would be interested to hear more about what do you mean about material properties coming from Revit, like at what section of Revit and what type of data you want us to export. Because it's possible, but right now, no. Like you have to assign them as part of the construction set.
I wonder if you... Oh, go ahead, Bruno. Did I cut him off?
Yeah, great.
No.
Thanks for the answer. I was just thinking about mainly thermal properties. But yeah, it can be, I don't know, also optical or thermal properties for glasses. I know this is something that is not already assigned as a parameter within Revit, so it would be even, let's say, complicated to add before at the element. But yeah, mainly thermal ones.
Right. So for all the thermal ones right now, I think the easiest way, or the most straightforward way that is to make sure things are not going to face any error is to create your own construction set, and then apply the construction set to the room. So you see here there's an option for construction set. Then you can use you can basically build your own construction set and apply them with construction set. When it comes to Rhino, you have much more flexibility, of course, on like how close you can get.
Before you move on, can you also show how to do daylighting properties? With the construction set, the daylighting settings or material parameters?
I don't know if we have that. So this is the construction set here. There is a concept of modifier set. So here for all the radiance ones that you have here, you can set the modifier set that you want, or you can basically create your own modifier set. Again, we have a full like video tutorial on how to use this menu and create your own modifier set. But now I can say, if you run it for daylighting, then you want to assign the visible modifier. If you do the radiation studies, you want to use the solar. So I can use this. And now that modifier set will be applied to all the rooms in this model.
So that was a question from Reinhardt. Like, I hope that helps you see how you can adjust VLT and reflectance values. You would do that through the modifier set. Perfect,
right.
It does.
Yes, we can edit all the modifier sets again. That's a different video tutorial. Unless you want me to show it. Yeah, okay, great questions. Thank you for asking these questions. Any other questions here? Any feature requests from people on the call that didn't want to write in Discourse and want to tell us right now? Or what are the major pain points that you like us to have a look at that you think is not covered already in Pollination ecosystem? Okay, I think we're doing great. No one wants anything else.
Well, we also have a lot of new users who probably, I guess we can add links. Like if you're new and this was like amazing information for you to want to try pollination, you can get started for free. And I'll drop in links in the chat for you to get started.
Right. A great place to get started is Doc's Pollination Cloud. I think my internet, generally speaking, is slow today. Everything comes with a delay. But yes, here there are different sections on user manual. There is a general getting started. Then we have one part for web platform, Revit plugin, Rhino plugin, Grasshopper plugin, and apps. So if you're interested, if you're a developer or you have someone who is a developer and you're interested to developing apps, you can start developing your apps and deploy them to Pollination right away. There's nothing to wait for. Basically, you can really do it today. Maybe if there is no question, I want to show you this. So for anyone who is interested in developing apps, Antonello and Nick started to do something great of building these new apps that are tutorial apps. So these apps, what they do is basically they'll help you to go through different components that we have for interacting with the CAD plugins and also interacting with Pollination. So if you're writing an app and you want to see how you can send a model to the app, this is the code that it takes to do it. And there is a documentation here. If you want to get the model, there is also a code here. And you can test these apps live from inside the CAD plugins to see how they work. And the apps are also interactive. So if you edit them here, you will see them just rerun. And there is an option here to change all the style and like change this font size and all those. So maybe I just show you like how I would have done this if I would have used this if I wanted to develop a new app. So let me delete this. So if I wanted to see like if I wanted to develop an app and say, okay, my first step is to see like, how to get the model in the app. So you can go here and you can try this get model thing. And now you can see the button shows up. So I can see it and I can check here and see like, this is very simple. So the whole thing is, you just need to do like a get HVJSON. So let me click on get model. You see it worked, it got the model and the model is here. So, oh, okay, so it brings all the models for me. And then I have HVJSON, I have version, like there are different properties, there's identifier. So if I want, for example, to print the identifier for the model, then I can say model info is this. And then ID is basically model info. And you can see as I'm typing, it tries to rerun the whole app. And identifier. And then here I can do st.write identifier. So if I did everything correctly, oh, not identifier, ID, sorry. So if I did everything correctly, something should show up here, but I apparently didn't. So let me do this and see what happens. No. Okay. Now assert false and ID. This doesn't work.
I think you just need to click the button again, Mustafa.
Oh yeah, to trigger that. Thank you. Thank you for your help, Nick. Yeah, that's correct. Because that triggers that interaction. So if I do Control-Z and it has Control-Z built in, that's cool. So now if I click on this, now you will see it gets the model and it says Delta generator is not subscribed, so something is wrong, but like I get this thing here that I wanted. Something interesting is I wanted to show you actually the identifier is not set correctly, but instead of doing this, I can also, let's see. Okay, model, I can also show it to you here. So its identifier is this, and we have display name, which is different. So display name is unnamed. So if I go here in my Rhino model and change this to my model, right, and come back here and rerun this, so this should change to my model. You see it's already changed. So I can quickly see the changes. And then at some point I get tired of like going back and forth. So I can right click here and click on this auto reload. So now you see the option of the model is connected. And if I do go back here and say, not my model, I don't know actually changing the attribute if it triggers the app. But we can see here, it actually triggered the app, so not my model. So you can interactively like play with this and see how it works, and like keep developing and learning about all these functionalities that Pollination provides. There are very cool ones on the Pollination integration or cloud integration. For example, you can quickly see who is using your app, which is important because then you can give them the option to select what project they want to, or what account they want to run the stuff in. So I see this doesn't print it because it says if username is inside account, print it. So I can remove this and say, no, I just want to see it anyways. So here you go. So it says JSON parser. There is something here, I don't know.
Mustafa, you can disable the auto upload.
No, here, I think if I select this, now you can see all the information comes for Ladybug Tools. So basically, kind of like a sandbox to play with and learn as you go. I find them very interesting, and I also use them to learn about a lot of new features that we have, like select account, select project, select recipe, study, and selecting run. This will make your apps much more cleaner. So instead of writing a lot of code to get a study or a run, you can basically use this, and then this code, and then it quickly you can say from demo project, give me this recipe and select, I don't know, this is study for something. Name owner is not defined. Again, the best part, I can just debug all these things like right away and see how the code works and how I can get it to work. Any other questions? Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions coming in. We can end early today.
Yeah, that's good. It usually doesn't happen that calls actually end early. I see like my video was frozen with my face being really in a weird place, but I think I restarted it. Anyways. Okay, then with that, we're not going to keep anyone here anymore. You know where to find us. If you have any questions, follow-up question, Discourse is the best place to post your questions. Again, the link is discourse.pollination.cloud. And if you need anything else that you can't send in on Discourse, you know where to find our emails. Just send us an email and we'll be happy to have a conversation with you. With that, I hope you have a great rest of the day, wherever you are in the world.